Good morning, good evening, good night. Welcome to the Dear Love Podcast. You can catch us at Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, Listen Notes, Google Music, Podbean, all that good stuff. You already know how this go. Let's get right into it. So I went over my grandmother's house one day and I decided to go in the basement, to see. I don't know, I always go around the house and look at different things, but I went straight to the pictures. So I'm going through the picture book. I seen my mom when she was younger, my uncles, my aunts, stuff like that. And I just instantly laughed because I seen some of my old pictures. Oh man, I got to make sure my son never sees those. It's funny when you coming up, you never, well, I seen it in my brother too, but you never really realize how much you don't care about certain stuff. Like you just eat and eat and eat. My mom is somebody, I love her to death. She always spoiled us. We had whatever we wanted. So it'd be like we go to Red Lobster just for the biscuits. We go to somewhere else just for the wings or something like that. So we just went to 4 different places for one meal. And now that I'm like thinking ahead now, thinking back rather, it's like that was a lot of money to be spending on food. Do you know how much money we would save if we didn't buy fast food? If we didn't go out every day and we just cooked? Now, I suffer from this too because I don't really do much cooking, but man, you could stack some serious money. Like, just take out your books for a second and jot down how much you spent. We ain't even got to say a week. In the last 2 days, how much did you spend on fast food? Another thing that made me think about that is because you can go somewhere and spend, let's say, what's the average meal? $7, $8 or something like that. But you can go get a pack of chicken or ground beef or whatever you eat at the grocery store, and that'll probably last you a little bit longer. So let's say that morning time you get up, you go to, let's just say Burger King. You get Burger King breakfast, might spend like $8 or so. So now lunchtime, you at work. So lunchtime, everybody going to Chipotle. Everybody loves Chipotle. So you go to Chipotle, you spend another $8, $9. And then dinner time comes around. Do you go home and cook or do you just get something out? Or do you just order a pizza? We could save so much cash if we just eat at home. And my point in saying all of that is because I've been through it. I remember those days of just eating out because, it's good to you. You get used to that, man. And besides, who wants to cook when you could just have somebody else cook it? Dear Love, episode 63. I'm just thinking, I'm just going back a little bit. I had to go to the doctor one time. I was at risk of having diabetes. This was when I was younger, just because I ate so much, like just foods I wasn't supposed to be eating, just all day, every day, eating. The different chips and all of that stuff. I had to have it. So I had to get to a point where they put me on a diet. And the diet they had me on, they said you could still eat chips, but it was like one bag, for lunch or something like that. So it was just little mini meals. And I ended up losing the weight that I had to lose. Because at one point I was just so big, man. And I had to really buckle down. And I say that because, again, it's so hard to do because our taste buds is so used to that thing we got to have. I remember one time I gave up drinking juice and I just drank straight water. It was so hard. But after like a week of just drinking water, I didn't even want any juice. And then once I drank some, I felt like I was cheating myself. I'm like, oh man, I can't drink that. So recently, maybe 2 months ago, now it should be like 2 months, I gave up on, beef and pork. This the part where everybody like claps out in the crowd and they cheer and all those different things. And I say, oh, you're too kind. You're too kind. But yeah, I gave up on the beef and pork thing. Now I'm not knocking nobody who do it, but it's just something that I did for me, and I feel a lot better. And I think I'm to the point now. If I was to try to taste it or eat it or something, I would definitely feel like I'm cheating myself. So I wouldn't even mess around with it. But that's the same with relationships. That's the same with financial situations, like food. You know, buying food, messing with that guy that you know is not good for you, or that woman that's not good for you. You just keep going back. But once you get them out your system, you're okay. But once you go back to messing with them, it's like, oh, I done messed up this time. But I honestly, I honestly was eating. Man, words can explain. But I ended up moving with my dad, and he wasn't playing that because, like I said, he worked a lot, and it wasn't at my leisure like it was, when I was staying with my mom. So he would cook maybe twice a week, but it was stuff like a big thing of chili or a big thing of spaghetti, and that better last you a couple days. Like, don't think you're gonna run through that and be like, where's the food at? So, I went down there with the, like, thinking I'm gonna drink juice and all this stuff. He like, I'm drinking water. So, that stunned me. I'm like, oh my goodness. Now I gotta drink water too and only eat like once or twice a day. It was kind of like you gotta fend for yourself, but that helps me out a whole lot. I called it a special type of diet because I was so used to, like I said, just eating all the time. But then it really got me used to not eating as much. So when we do these different things, man, we just gotta stick to it and keep pushing because eventually you'll see the results. And it's always gonna be somebody that come up to you and show you your different results. Oh, you look a little bit smaller, or oh man, you seem more in tune with life. People just come up to you and say different things, and it make you feel good. And it also makes you see like what you're doing is basically paying off. But that's the part where you make up excuses like, man, is Chipotle considered fast food and all of that type of stuff. But I try to stick with just certain things that I eat. And it's hard, man, because I love steak and I used to love eating pork chops. But now I don't really look at it. And it's not really hard. Like, I don't really go through the whole peer pressure thing. So, like, I don't mind people eating it in front of me or nothing. I still, it still smell good, of course, but I'd be cool. It's just like smoking and different things. People always used to try to get me to smoke. Hey, man, just do it, man. Just do it one time. I gave in and did it one time in my whole life, literally. And I know that's hard to believe, but I've never smoked. I smoked one time. And I was so high that it made no sense. And it'll never happen again. Because again, it wasn't for me. I ended up trying it. So I guess the peer pressure did work. And it reminded me of those commercials, that used to come on TV that say, everybody else is doing it and tobacco was wacko if you were a teen and all of that type of stuff. But you just got to learn to cut things off and not go back to them unless it's meant to be. And if it's meant to be, that means you really never cut them off like you should have. Because I feel like once you sever something, once it's over, man. Ain't no point in trying to fight it or come back from it. It's a wrap. And that's how I felt. So after I went to the doctors and they told me that, if you don't slow down, you at a risk of diabetes. And I know what I seen my family go through with the poking themselves every day and those type of things. I said, man, I gotta make a change. And that's what this is about, making a change for the better, whether it be your job situation, whether it be schools. Like, don't be afraid to just say, you know what, this ain't for me. I've seen, of course, on TV or YouTube or different things, countless people who basically quit their job. They just quit. I'm staying in my car for a couple months and they make it. I mean, look at, is it Tyler Perry? I believe he said he was homeless at one point. And look, famous for Medea now, doing plays all over the world. Well, was doing plays everywhere. So that's what it's really about, man. Just taking that leap of faith and saying, I'm not going to continue to do this anymore. I'm not going to continue to deal with hatred or anything that's hurting your flow. Because at the end of the day, like I said before, everybody has their own lane. You start off with your own lane. Now you can veer right or you can veer left into somebody else's lane, but you can't let them veer in your lane. You can't let them stop what you have going on. Now if they allow you to veer in theirs, that's on them. But you never want to veer you never want nobody to veer in your lane. Because now they cutting you off and now they on your road. So you got to take the things that you believe in, the businesses that you believe in, the money that you invest, and you got to make a change for you. My cousin said something real important the other day. He told me, man, when you leave the job you work at now, you can't get that to your kid. And that make a lot of sense. Or if you're married, you can't leave that to your wife or you can't leave that to your husband. You want to do something that you can leave for generations to come. And that's what it's about. It's about building that ground. You know what I'm saying? Putting your feet in the dirt and going to get it and making that change. I knew if I didn't make that change, I had diabetes. She told me, and that's the problem. People tell us to our face what can happen, and we still do it. We always say, oh, well, let me hit my head and figure it out. Hey, man, I was always told, sometimes you hit your head the first time you get a concussion. It only take one time to rob a bank. I mean, if you get caught, you're done. They're not going to say, oh, this was your first time robbing this federal bank. You're okay. No, you're out of here. So we really got to sit back and think. Let the mental start flowing. Let the mental start rolling because we all are creators. Make a change for the better. It could be cutting somebody off. It could be bringing somebody along. It could be, you know what? I wanted this the whole time. I don't know why I was playing around with it. It could be anything. So you want to make that change to better you. Dear love, T. Shaw, I'm out of here.